Hello everyone, and welcome to another video. Denise would like to introduce you to Vida Sawaya, who prefers to be known as Jackson Fraser. Ladies and gentlemen, charge your glasses. We haven't had a drinking game for a while, but we're going to have one here, probably just for the first part of the video. Please drink responsibly, and if you're under 18, just don't drink at all. Get yourself a glass of water. Hi Denise, he said. Good morning, said Denise. How are you doing today, he asked. This was on Saturday evening. Oh, very well, thanks, said Denise. Good evening. I'm Jackson from Casper, Wyoming. Where do you live? He said the next day. I live in Guildford in Surrey, said Denise. Hi, Denise. How are you doing today? That's good. Guildford is a nice place. And ladies and gentlemen, raise your glasses, because here comes your first sip. Denise, I'm sorry for the late reply. I'm a very busy person, due to the nature of my job. Have a sip, ladies and gentlemen. Swallow quickly. And I don't always stay on Facebook, due to my job. That's your second sip. Don't get too tipsy. Do you know Guildford? Asked Denise. Yeah, he said. Denise, I'm a native of Casper, Wyoming, but I've spent the majority of my adult life in the military service around the world. Raise your glasses, ladies and gentlemen, due to the nature of my job. When did you come to Guildford? Asked Denise. I've never been to the USA. Well, dear, I think that was 6 years ago. I came over with my wife and son, but on our way going back, something terrible happened on the way. Why did you come to Guildford? Asked Denise. Where did you stay? Dear, actually, I came with my family to Castle for vacation. That would have been very draughty. The castle in Guildford is a ruin. And on our way going back home, we had a terrible accident along the highway in New Jersey. It was a painful experience. I lost my wife and have a son who's 16 years old. And his name is Kevin and is currently schooling in United States. And believe me, this Kevin is a very clever lad. I added that bit, not him. He lives in the hostel with his colleagues, and I believe he's very happy in school. He studies in the Department of Medicine there. He's still undergoing their academic studies. Why is he leaving the hostel if he's happy there? Asked Denise. I'm sorry about your wife. Why were you in New Jersey if you live in Wyoming? Yes, dear, he's doing well. I do have someone who I paid every month as a nanny to take care of him. I do have the school mail. I do reach him through the school mail. That isn't what I asked you, said Denise. I asked you why he's leaving the hostel if he's happy there. Which school does he go to? Yes, Casper is my hometown. My both parents are from there, and I was born in Casper, Wyoming. We do have a very big family house in Casper, but I have my own house in New Jersey. So I live in New Jersey with my wife and son before my wife died. Okay, said Denise. Which school does your son go to? My son's school's name is the Christian Academy, and he's a private school that have a hostel. And they teach medicine, said Denise. That sounds like a very progressive school. Yeah, he said. Does that mean he won't have to study medicine at university? He's studying medicine, he said. You told me he's still at school, studying medicine. Yes, he's at school. So he can become a doctor as soon as he leaves school at 18. And he won't need to go to medical school for 5 years. Yes, he said. He will not. So if you ever come across a doctor called Kevin Fraser, whose father was called Jackson Fraser, find yourself another doctor. That's amazing, said Denise. I have to go out now. I'll look out for you later. All right, dear. But at the moment, I would like us to continue our conversation on Google Chat. Ladies and gentlemen, raise your glasses. As I told you before, I'm not always here on Facebook, due to the nature of my job. So if you don't mind, I'd like to have your Gmail address, so I can send you an invite. And so, of course, they moved to Hangout/Chat. Good morning, my lady. How are you doing today? I'm sorry, I slept off last night. I hope you have a wonderful night's rest. Good morning, said Denise. I'm curious about why you decided to visit Guildford, of all the places in the UK that you could have come to. What a shame we hadn't met. You could have come for tea. Wow! It would be very nice to meet you. I'm happy to hear that. Actually, My late wife and my son wanted to pay a good friend of mine a visit, who lives in Guildford with his family, so we went during my son's vacation. Maybe when I round up my mission in Syria, I'll come over with my son to pay you a visit." "What's your friend's name?" asked Denise. "And where does he live? I know a lot of people in Guildford. I might know him." "Wow! That's good. His name is Peter," he said, "and he lives in Abinger Hammer. Top marks for having consulted a map. That's where he lives with his family. And where do you live in Guildford? Do you live alone?" "I don't think I know anyone called Peter that lives in Abinger," said Denise. "I live in Merrow." "Well, that's all right, dear. So, what are you doing at the moment?" he said, in true Scammer style. "Can we get to know more about each other? Because that will bring more understanding." That always strikes me as such a ridiculous phrase. When I first meet someone, I'm not trying to understand them. "I'm chopping up a large fossilised mammoth," said Denise. "More understanding of what? What are you doing at the moment?" As ever, nobody read what Denise was doing, and live in hope that somebody might ask her. "Well, I'm right here in my control room," he said, "and I will love to know more about you, if you can give me some of your time to tell me some things about you." "In your control room?" said Denise. "What are you controlling?" "Well, I'm the commanding general over here, and I do watch all activities that go on in my camp, in my control room, which is like my office, and I give orders to my boys. Dear, please, if you don't mind, can I ask you for a few of your photos? I hope you don't mind sending me some of your photos. If you give me your address, I'll post some to you," she said. And so he gave her his email address. "No," said Denise, "your address, where you live, so I can post some to you. Or shall I send them to your friend in Abinger?" "No one is in my house right now, as you can see. I'm here in the war zone," he said. "I'll send them to your friend, shall I?" said Denise. "Don't send it to him," he said. "I could send them to your son's school," she suggested. "When I come home, you will give it to me as a gift," he said. "OK," said Denise. "Then send me some pictures of you over here. If you give me your address in Syria, I'll send them," said Denise. "You can't send me pictures because I'm in Al-Tanf, Syria, and here is a war zone. You can send me a picture over here. It's not a big deal." "You said I can't send you a picture over there. Do make up your mind," said Denise. "Send a photo from your phone gallery to me over here," he said. "I don't have a mobile phone," said Denise. "What gadget are you using in talking to me?" he asked. "I'm using an iPad," said Denise. "Is there no photos on your iPad gallery?" he asked. "I have no idea what you're talking about. I have one of them digital cameras," said Denise. "My grandson Benji prints my photos for me." "So you don't take photos with your iPad?" he asked. "I don't know what you're talking about," said Denise. "Why would I do that?" And so he sent her a photograph of a man, adding underneath, "It's normal for you to take a photo." "I take lots of photos," said Denise. "I told you, I have one of them digital cameras. Benji prints my photos for me." "It's OK," he said. "Now I understand. The photo of me I just sent you is in my gadget." "Congratulations on having such an amazing gadget," said Denise. "You can also do it," he said. "Have an amazing gadget?" asked Denise. "Just ask your grandson how to take a photo with your gadget," he said, "and he's going to show you it's not difficult. It's not an amazing gadget. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. It's not an amazing gadget. It's normal. It's technology. That means if I want to call you on a video call, you'll not be able to open it or accept it." "Oh, yes, I can use Hangouts to call," said Denise. "That's how I talk to Benji when he's not here." "All right. Means I will call you on video call one of these days, when it's safe for me to call you on a video call," which is scammer speak for when I've managed to get one of those fake videos and worked out how to play it to you. "That would be lovely," said Denise. "Yeah, it will be lovely. So, what are you doing at the moment?" And you know what Denise is doing, and it's going to be an ongoing task. "Chopping up the fossilised mammoth in the cellar," replied Denise. "What are you doing at the moment?" "I'm working on some paperwork. I'm in my document room. So how's your day going?" "Fine," said Denise. "How's yours going?" "Mine is good, but the weather is hot." "Oh dear," said Denise. "I don't like the heat. I don't think I could live in Syria. What do you do there? I'm here for peacekeeping, he said, and that's what I'm doing. Why are you asking me? She said, because he'd put a question mark after, and that's what I'm doing, question mark. Because you asked me, he said. Yes, said Denise, so I was hoping for an answer, not you asking, and that's what I'm doing, question mark, because I don't know if that's what you're doing. That's why I asked. Yes, and have answered you that I'm here for peacekeeping, as assigned by the UN, and that's the work I'm doing over here. That's good, said Denise. I just wasn't sure why you were asking me. It's all right, he said. What's your time saying at the moment? It's just after 5 p.m, replied Denise. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. What have you eaten today? What a strange question, replied Denise. What have you eaten today? I had fried worm casserole for lunch and jellied egg tangerines for breakfast. My phone's ringing. Well, my phone really was ringing. Is the question strange to you? He said. It seemed very random in the middle of a conversation, said Denise. I thought we were talking about Syria and your work. You think so? He said. You still haven't told me what you've eaten today, said Denise. We talking about each getting to know things about ourselves, and you still haven't told me what you've eaten, said Denise. I had chili with beans. OK, said Denise. Do you have a canteen, or do you have to do your own cooking? We have canteen, he said. I guess you can eat whenever you want, said Denise. Yes, defiantly. Oh, said Denise. You mean you aren't supposed to? Is it some kind of protest against the rules? I can eat whenever I want, he said, but not for my men, because I'm the general here. OK, then why are you defiant? Asked Denise. I mean definitely, he said. Means yes. Ha ha, said Denise. OK, you must have travelled to lots of places. Yes, dear, I have, he said. Tell me about some of the places you've been to. I haven't done much travelling. My Albie didn't like flying. Have been to Afghanistan, Iraq, Sudan, and many others, all for peacekeeping. So, tell me about yourself, he said. How long have you been working as a peacekeeper? Asked Denise. What do you want to know? Let's talk about our dreams, goals, and etc. Exactly the sort of conversation you have with someone you've just met online. Well, I don't. I'm beginning to wonder if I live in an alternative reality most of the time. OK, if you want to, said Denise. What are the experiences you have encountered since joining Facebook? Asked no one, ever, that wasn't a scammer. What? Replied Denise. Oh yes, I want to know, he said. How is that, a dream or a goal? Replied Denise. Are you some kind of nutcase? I said goals, dreams, etc. He replied. Yes, and we were having a nice conversation. Now you just want to ask stupid questions. Who are you really? No senior army officer would ask anything so ridiculous. Means I can start from whichever I want to. It's not a ridiculous question, asked our scammer, who was working his way down a list of ridiculous questions to ask your potential victim. If you can't see how ridiculously silly a question it is, then you clearly aren't a senior army officer, which is a shame. I was hoping I'd met a proper gentleman who I could have a proper conversation with. Goodbye. We're getting to know more about each other, he said. Yes, said Denise. I'm learning that you aren't a senior army officer. Are you one of those idiots that thinks having an interesting conversation means working your way down a list of brainless questions? We're having a conversation, he said, and we're not supposed to rush on anything. It's a gradual process. And not having a proper intellectual conversation. No, we're not having a conversation. It isn't a gradual process. A proper conversation means not changing the subject to ask a banal, brainless question. So now I know you aren't a senior army officer. Goodbye. Tell me, replied our senior army officer, are you a God-fearing woman? Why on earth would I be afraid of God? Asked Denise. You still don't understand me, he asked. Are you a Christian? No, I'm not, said Denise. I'm a God-fearing man, he said. I do have my Christian faith to credit for my life, attitude, and success. However, he said, and we've heard all this before, ladies and gentlemen, I don't use the name of God to attract women, for my character speaks for itself. It certainly does, mate. I'm not the type of man who's focused entirely on himself. If you say so, replied Denise. It's amazing how many people say that, don't you think? If you say so, he said. But I'm me. What religion are you? I'm a Ninth-day Adventist, replied Denise. Oh, that's amazing, he said. I'm looking for someone nice, caring, loving, honest and understanding, someone who I can trust, and also who has inner beauty, because inner beauty tells the true and real character of a lady, because it's from the inner side of her you can tell if she's good or bad. It is not all about the physical appearance, but the inner feelings, which is the true feelings. If you say so, said Denise. Is that it? Replied our rather deflated scammer. I wouldn't know, said Denise. I'm not looking for a lady. You are a lady, he said, and should tell me if I'm right or wrong. As a lady, said Denise, I'd have to agree. Anyway, he said, so tell me, how big is your family? I mean, how many brothers and sisters you have? Are you still there? I had a brother, said Denise, but he passed away 10 years ago. I have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. Sorry for the loss of your brother, and please accept my condolences, he said. What about your parents? You know, that question that all mature people ask of each other. My parents, said Denise. I'm 76. Unfortunately, he said, my both parents are dead, and I'm the only child of my late parents. As I said, exactly the sort of conversation you have as a mature man. Are you still a kid? Asked Denise. No. Why are you sounding like you're mad at someone? He said. Why are you telling me about being an only child then? Said Denise. That's how a kid talks. Really? He said. Yes, really, said Denise. I assume you are a kid, otherwise you'd know that. You are too serious, he said. Tells me about the current house that you're living in. Do you live alone? In your own house? The current house, said Denise. It's a 3-bedroom terraced house. What about your current house? I think it was built in 1897. I live with my lovely son before in my house, but now he's gone to school, and I'm all alone in my house any time I'm off. It's a 3-bedroom bungalow there in United State, and I also have another bungalow with 4 bedrooms in a confined space of 4 plots of land, including a swimming pool in it. What are your goals or dreams in life? Sounds very impressive, said Denise. My goal is to keep breathing. Highly recommended at my age. That's beautiful, he said. What about your dream? Are you busy at the moment? I'm back, said Denise. My dream is also to keep breathing. What do you think it should be at my age? Wow! That's amazing, he said. My goals and dreams in life are to be with the woman of my life, whom I will call my wife, who I will love, and we will both live together and have a loving family. Forever. I think he's been watching too many Disney movies, hasn't he? That's very sweet, said Denise. That's all I want, he replied. How do you feel when someone upsets you? And what will you do to calm yourself down? This is a new question, ladies and gentlemen. I've had it a few times. I'll smack him in the nuts, said Denise. My Albie didn't upset me. Why do you think you're going to upset me? I'm just asking, he said. To me, I do feel unhappy at that moment. Go to a quiet place and listen to cool music that will calm me down. And then, that question that if anyone actually asked me, although I don't believe in physical violence, I very well might smack him in the nuts, because I really don't think anyone would ever ask you this. How has your present marital life affected you so far? I beg your pardon, replied Denise. Are you working your way down a list of 100 stupid questions to ask someone you've met online but haven't read, so you don't know what you're asking? We're getting to know each other well, he said. Oh, yes, replied Denise. I'm getting to know you very well. Being lonely, he said, has affected me a lot, because me living lonely with only my son, and without a woman to call my wife, is not making me happy. And I know my son also is not happy, rather because he has no one to call mum. I need a woman who will take me and my son to be her husband. Actually, bigamy is illegal, and even if it is, I'm not sure a woman would be allowed to marry both father and son, would she? And also make me happy for the rest of my life. I'm sure you'll find someone, replied Denise. I'm asking you questions from my heart, he said. Yeah, right, replied Denise. Because to be lonely again Is one this I don't want in life ever again? Or don't you feel lonely or emptiness inside of you sometimes? I miss my Albie a lot, yes, said Denise, but you shouldn't be sitting around feeling sorry for yourself. You see, some questions I ask you, you see them as unreasonable questions, but they are more reasonable than you think, he said. Now you're telling me sorry for myself. But you are feeling sorry for yourself, said Denise. Nobody wants a man that's moping and miserable. So are you trying to say I'm miserable? Asked our miserable scammer. I'm saying you're sounding miserable, said Denise. If you want to find a nice lady, stop sounding like a misery. She copied and pasted the bit where he'd bleated on about being lonely. Now I'm sounding like a misery, he replied. OK, you got it, replied Denise. It's what you think, he said, and then asked a question I don't think I've been asked before. Are you left or right-handed? Essential knowledge, obviously, before you meet someone. I'm just trying to help you, replied Denise. If you're looking for a woman, don't start by sounding like the sort of a miserable person she won't want to talk to. Yes, I am, she said. OK, I got it, he replied. At last, said Denise. I am a right-handed person, he said. And that matters because, replied Denise, my big toe is longer than my middle toe. Wow, said our man, who didn't get the irony. Can you drive a vehicle? No, she said. Why do you want to know? Do you need a lift somewhere? Let me see if I can guess the next question. And Denise was going to guess. What's your favourite colour? Is a question. Don't get me wrong, he said. Tell me, if you have one wish to make, what would it be? To find a man that can have an interesting intellectual conversation, replied Denise. Our man, of course, had no idea what Denise had said, and just replied, That's good. It would be, yes, replied Denise. So you're not looking for a life partner to spend the rest of you with? Not specifically, no, said Denise. I couldn't spend my life with a man that just asks dumb questions and can't have a proper conversation. That also went straight over our man's head, because my wish is for God to grant me a loving, caring and understanding woman that will love me and my kid, because that will make me happy for the rest of my life. That would be awful, don't you think? Continued Denise, following on from what she'd previously said about I couldn't spend my life with a man that just asks dumb questions and can't have a proper conversation. That would be awful, don't you think? But his answer intervened. I hope you find someone. I guess I'd like to find a kind, caring, mature gentleman, like a senior military officer, who can have an interesting conversation. I wonder where I'd find someone like that. I want my partner to be caring, understanding, God-fearing, with a good sense of humour, who is loyal, honest, and truthful to the call, that will give me all her love, as I will love her with all my heart and soul. I guess we're looking for different things, replied Denise. I can see you don't need love, he said. I can see you don't need a lady with a brain, replied Denise. Shame, I was hoping for more from a gentleman in your position, because that was extremely rude for a senior army officer. I want a woman with a brain, he said, but a brain of understanding, but not a rude type and proud type. You're unbelievably rude for a senior army officer, replied Denise. Don't forget, he said, you're a woman, or you want me to talk to you the way I talk to my boy. How on earth you'd get away with talking to ladies like that, replied Denise. I sincerely hope that you don't talk to anyone the way you're talking to me, let alone your poor son. You're the rude one here, not me, he said. If I knew which regiment you're serving with, I'd submit a copy of this conversation and make a formal complaint, said Denise. I cannot believe how ungentlemanly and rude you are. Goodbye. Have been calm with you, he said. But you call me a miserable fellow, said our miserable fellow. That's a high level of rudeness. Goodbye, said Denise. It's so obvious that you're not a senior army officer, and so obvious that you're just an idiot. Go and play with someone your own age. I have an understanding that you can never have, he said. Oh, believe me, said Denise, I understand you only too well. I can spot an idiotic gamma boy a mile off. You're thick, stupid, and resort to rudeness when things don't go your way. And just work your way down a list of mindless, stupid, and unbelievably crass questions, because you're too stupid to write anything for yourself, or to think of something sensible to say. At least pretend to be something believable. A cleaner, a washer-up. Cue the lies. I really am an army officer, I'm not lying to you. And, he answered, I'm not an army officer, but an Air Force general. Correction, replied Denise. You're neither, and you're a terrible liar. That's why you can't answer my question, he said. Because you are not a woman. Idiot, of course I'm a woman, said Denise. You really are too thick for words. You're a liar, he said. If you're an army officer, said Denise, I dare you to answer my video call, show your face, and show off your impressive American accent. But I know you're too much of a coward to do that, because you can't. So she tried calling him, and of course he didn't answer. Let me call you myself, he said, because of course he was hoping to play her one of those stolen videos. Coward, said Denise, when she tried to call him again. I know what you're going to try to do. Play me a stolen video. I'm not that stupid. Answer my call. And so she tried calling him again. Lily-livered, cowardly liar, she said, and tried calling him again. Goodbye, idiot, she said. Call again, he said. And so she called him. I can't see you. No, I told you I want to see you, not a stolen video. But you're not going to do that, are you? Goodbye. If you were watching the screen there, you'll see that he tried to play one of those stolen videos. The connection was so poor that the video didn't play. I also can't see you, he said. That was because Denise didn't have her camera turned on. In fact, for some reason, my software had crashed and it wasn't turning on the camera. I had to restart the computer. I want to see you first, said Denise, the real you, not a stolen video. You're not going to see me if I can't see you, he said. Deal. Can you play a video to someone? I've no intention of playing a stolen video, replied Denise. The iPad went funny. I had to restart it. I don't even know how to play a video to someone, said our scammer, who maybe didn't, because clearly the video hadn't actually played. So she tried calling him again. No, I don't want to see your stolen video. I want to see you. This is your last chance. I want to see you, not a stolen video.
If I don't see you, you're not going to see me, okay?
Right, you've got to count to 10 to show your face, otherwise you can go away. 10, 9.
If I can see you, you're not going to see me, alright?
7, 6, 5,
6,
4.
5, 4, 2, 1.
Right, so you can count, but you're too much of a coward to show your face. That's what I thought. I'm not even sure if you're real, he said, between the two calls. Cowardly idiot, said Denise, after the second call. Impressive American accent. You can see you're so rude, he replied. Impressive manners for a senior military officer, replied Denise. You don't talk to a man like that, he said. No, you're right, said Denise. Just to a lying scammer boy. If you're looking for a man to spend the rest of your life with, you should know how to, but not this way, because I don't need anything from you, he said. I'm not, replied Denise. It's you that's contacting random women. You're just too rude for any man, he said. You're just too thick, stupid, and unbelievably moronic for any woman, said Denise. Tell me, how long have you been lonely without a man, he said. Now I'm ready for you. I'm not lonely, said Denise. Tell me, how long have you been trying to scam women? Bring it on, he said. I sincerely hope you're a failure at it, said Denise. You're lonely and don't have a man in your life. That I know, he said, and you can't get any man with your character and your rudeness. I'm not lonely, said Denise. You're a thick, stupid, idiotic scammer, and I sincerely hope you don't have a woman. If you do, I'll feel sorry for her. That's why you always don't have an answer to my question, he said. All I say is, as woman, I will say yes. Remember. You haven't asked me a sensible question yet, said Denise, who didn't understand what he'd said there either. Just stupid questions from some list your mate gave you, but that you're too idiotic to see are banal, brainless and stupid. That's "Why, my questions are unreasonable to you," he said. "At least pretend to be something that your age and lack of education would sound like. A street cleaner, a cafe washer-up, a porter, someone who might ask childish questions, not a mature army officer. Anyway, I've had enough of you. You're too thick and stupid to have a sensible conversation. Go back to school and grow up. Goodbye." He typed a few more insults, and then Denise ghosted him. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it, please share it, please comment down below, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again in Jackson Fraser, episode 2.